Me and Brandon here to win a division or no conference. So if I'm here to win the Super Bowl, that's gonna be the reason. But I think people know a lot of people look at this team as like, oh, they got a lot of great pieces, but me to you, I think it's more than just a lot of great pieces. You got great culture here, great organization. I think the more you fill this up with winners, not just me. Coach D'Amico was a winner. Runner Darwin was a winner. Will was a winner. So it's still the room up with winners. I think you're going to get what you want. I think we'll get it real soon. To be honest with you, I'm still shocked, but I'm happy. New fresh start, meeting you guys. I think the biggest thing I noticed is team very young. So being the older guy, one of the older guys in the room, gotta realize that if I'm here for business, here to have fun, we're all here to win football. So being around those guys, I get to kind of feel it for them first couple of days and how we go about things.
Hi, this is Aaron Wilson. Today at Energy Stadium, we spoke with new Texans safety CJ Gardner Johnson. He's really as advertised. Not just a hard-hitting, instinctive presence on the field, but an alpha personality off the field. Very colorful character. Someone that really injects a lot of personality, energy, and emotion and intensity into the locker room and the practice field. And really already hearing a lot about his impact. And of course, we've seen him doing some informal workouts with Corey Nichols alongside Kamar Lassiter, Kalen Bullock. Those guys all work out together. But beyond that, it's the example, it's the championship pedigree and the championship expectations that comes with adding someone like CJ Gardner Johnson, of course, in the offseason trade from the Eagles. Won a championship with Philadelphia, intercepted 6 passes. And I want to talk a little bit before we get into too much about his goals and obviously wanting to win another championship. And he's one of the winningest safeties, as he pointed out, in the NFL. But he has changed teams a lot, and I know people want to talk about that and have questions. And here's what I've been able to glean from going to league meetings, from talking to people from Philadelphia and other cities. So with CJ, he did want a new contract, and this was financial related because they're going to go with younger players in Philadelphia. They can't pay everybody. They've spent a lot on the offensive line with Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, Jordan Mailata, and of course a big contract for Jalen Hurts, their quarterback from Channelview, and star running back Saquon Barkley. But yes, he definitely plays with an edge, and sometimes that will obviously grate on opponents, the officials, and a little bit on teammates. He is a talkative guy, but I think he's generally embraced, is what I'm hearing, and people were fine with him and his approach to football and just how he handles himself. But yeah, he's definitely a talkative guy. He's full of energy. He's somewhat boisterous, and he's definitely a funny, fun-loving type of character. But in terms of Philadelphia, there's still a lot of love for him in Philly. I know he's missed by the fans. This was something that upset the fans and some of his teammates when they traded him for Kenyon Green. But it was kind of a dump of both players. Kenyon not working out with the Texans, getting the fresh start, with Jeff Stoutland, one of the top offensive line coaches, and then CJ Gardner Johnson. The Texans taking on his $8.5 million salary for this year, and he's also under contract for next season. And if he plays well, I'm sure they would be interested in going to the negotiating table, just depending on what his financial expectations are. Are they on the same page? Can they afford him? Is he in the budget? But they've got him for this year at least, and he's under contract for the season after. But I think he'll definitely add a hard-hitting, hard-nosed, tough presence. He's very smart. He finds the football very well, and he definitely has an alpha personality. And from talking to a Will Anderson Jr. and a Jaylen Pitre, they're liking the vibe with CJ Gardner Johnson. The true chemistry test comes during the season when you see, when things aren't going so well, how does everybody get along? But, this isn't a popularity contest. This isn't like he's running for mayor. He's playing safety for the Texans, and he's a starter as part of a loaded secondary with Derek Stingley Jr., Jaylen Pitre, the nickel, and Kalen Bullock playing next to him at safety, and then the other corner, Kamar Lassiter. So a great group, and they have Jimmy Ward and MJ Stewart as backup, so a really strong group, even without Eric Murray, who played well for them as a reserve and stepped in and became a starter for them when they had injuries with Jimmy Ward. So looking at the situation and just kind of reading between the lines some of the comments that C.J. Gardner Johnson had, he was very entertaining. And he wore a New Orleans-style hat, he said, as a tribute to his time with the Saints and being reunited with teammate Mario Edwards Jr. He played with him in New Orleans, and now they're teammates again with the Texans. So he says it's better than Cam Newton's hat. Cam has a lot of nice hats. This one had a pink feather, a insignia, little gold buckles all over it. Pretty cool hat. So you don't see that every day at a press conference. Can't remember the last time we've had that in Houston with a player rocking a hat like that. So that was different. And he said even the media here seemed to be happier. Obviously, Philly is known as a tough town, the city of brotherly love, kind of a misnomer, but definitely a tough press corps up there. And I think he, at times, would go back and forth with some of those reporters. So does not like to be called CJ, likes to be addressed as CD or 8. And yes, he wants John Mechie III's number 8 jersey. So maybe they're going to haggle over that jersey. We'll see what happens with that. But right now, it's not the number he's wearing. So we'll see how that goes. In terms of the style of play, I think that he's rangier than what they've had in the past. He's a physical player at 5'11", 210. He definitely has that Florida swag from a Florida Gator. Comes from the swamp and grew up in Cocoa. And he's played for a lot of teams. So while he's here, and we'll see how long that's going to be. Is that a year? Is it 2 years? Is it going to be longer? I think he's going to make an impact. He's going to intercept passes. He's going to have some hard hits. He was ejected from one game last season. Got into a dust-up with Diami Brown for the Washington Commanders. And he got a couple of unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. And so he got ejected. Then he flipped off the Washington fans. I think the Texans fans are going to like this guy and what he's about, because he's about toughness. He doesn't take anything, as he says, not take any crap from the other team. He likes to talk crap. He is a very dynamic guy. He says he's going to hit hard. He's going to make plays. And I think he can back up everything he's saying. One of the more interesting things, and I think it kind of showed some of the maturity that you're getting with C.J. Gardner Johnson at age 27. He said that winning a championship, he got to a point where he understood it's not about me. It's about the team. It's about everyone else. It's about pouring into the teammates around you and understanding that sometimes they're going to run by you or they're going to run you over. Things are going to happen. You're not going to make every play. It's not always going to be perfect. But he gets angry when anything doesn't go well in terms of a blocking drill or catching a football, just anything. He takes it very seriously. And so the game is serious to him. And he's saying all the right things about D'Amico Ryans. So very interesting to have C.J. Gardner Johnson. To me, he's kind of a catalyst for the chemistry of a defense that could be special. A couple other conversations had today, and that includes Jaylen Pitre. So this is our first time talking with Jaylen since he signed that $42.6 million contract extension with a $39 million base value, $10 million signing bonus, and $29.156 million of it guaranteed, an $18 million payout in the first 12 months. So the deal negotiated by Trey Robinson and Marlon Moore of Athlete, the agents for Jaylen Pitre ever since he entered the NFL as a second-round pick. What it also did is, and I get a chance to talk to him a little bit away from the press conference afterward, it gave him the opportunity to stay with his hometown team. He went to Stafford. He's very active in the community with Kids Meals Incorporated and with the Stafford Cobras, which is a youth football and cheerleading program. And that was really important to him. He wanted to be here, and I think he could have played out the deal and gotten more money, perhaps as a safety on the open market. But that wasn't what he wanted to do. He wanted to be here. He wanted to continue his work in the community. He's got his parents, Rick and Davide. He's got all that support from his home, from his hometown, his girlfriend. And so it's really important for him to be here. And that's great. That's what you want to see. And it's a very unique story, because how often do you ever see a guy that played his high school football in Houston, then plays at Baylor as the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, then gets drafted in the second round, then plays well enough to earn a deal where he was the highest paid nickel for a couple of days before Kyler Gordon eclipsed his deal. And so I think that's just it's a cool thing and a unique story. And that's why I really enjoy talking with Jaylen and continuing to, just in my own way, I support charities. I have a lot of dough to give to charity. I donate what I can, but I like to publicize charities, and it's important. I think it's part of covering a football team is covering what they do in the community. So I always enjoy that. And Jaylen's great with kids, great in the community, and Kids Meals is a very worthy cause. If you haven't heard of them before, they help food insecure children here in Harris County. And there are more than you would realize, kids that aren't sure where their next meal is coming from. Most of us know, where our next meal is coming from, but that's not the reality for everyone, including the homeless and lots of people out there that could use some help. So yeah, that's a big generous heart from Jaylen Pitre. This was our first time, also talking with Cam Robinson, and he's the new left tackle, and he's the replacement for Pro Bowl left tackle, 5-time Pro Bowl left tackle Laremy Tunsil, since traded to the Washington Commanders. And Cam did a pretty good job last year when he stepped in for an injured Christian Darrisaw after the trade from the Jaguars. So I thought Cam played well. Kevin O'Connell rightfully praised him. They didn't bring him back because they have Darrisaw, and he said the Texans just made sense to him right from the start. He was getting contacted by the Texans, and he wound up doing a 1-year, $14.5 million deal. It's a 1-year deal. They'll see how he does. If he plays very well, I'm sure they'd be happy to extend him. If he doesn't, play up to the level that they hope for, then it's a 1-year arrangement. But he can hold it down. He can do enough to protect C.J. Stroud, in my opinion, and I think that he's capable of getting the job done. He's just got to stay healthy and play to the level that he can. Interesting to ask him, what do the offensive line coach, Cole Popovich, and what do offensive coordinator Nick Haley expect from the line? And he brought up one word. They want to see consistency. They want the level of play, the level of blocking, pass blocking and run blocking, to be consistent. And he also talked about competition. He says he thinks that's going to bring out the best in everyone in terms of guys pushing each other, trying to get better, not necessarily, trying to tear each other down, that kind of thing, but more so a healthy kind of competition. And so he expects this to be a cohesive unit, and there's a lot of change, and there's some talk about Titus Howard playing right tackle, and we'll see where everybody lines up, but hearing a little bit about right tackle for Titus Howard, so we'll keep that thought in mind. We'll see where they do line up the big guy, see if he's going to be right tackle, and maybe Laken Tomlinson at left guard, Jared Patterson at center, Juice Scruggs or Ed Ingram over at right guard, and of course Cam Robinson at left tackle, and we'll see, is Blake Fisher running out there first? Trent Brown, I think, is still sidelined and join the competition likely in August. So a lot to be determined, and we'll be watching the offensive line closely as we get closer and closer to training camp. But yeah, that's some things I'm hearing about the offensive line. But yeah, Cam Robinson, a new addition. Didn't get a chance to talk to Christian Kirk today. He was a little busy, but I look forward to talking to him probably at one of these OTAs or mini camps. I'm sure we'll get a chance to have a conversation with Kirk. But a lot of praise for Kirk. A lot of people excited about having Kirk in this offense, and not just the way he catches the football, his run after the catch, his willingness and ability to block. So a lot of praise for Christian Kirk. And the draft, of course, which everybody's thinking about, are in a couple days. This was the start of the voluntary off-season conditioning program, so they're just weightlifting right now, and they can't do anything on the field with the coaches. So, you think about the draft, and I'll add a couple tidbits about that. The Texans have explored what it would take to trade up. They've also looked into the trade back scenarios. This is very common. There's no breaking news here, so I wouldn't want to get your hopes up that they're going to definitely make this move. They're going to move up, but more and more I hear is that Kelvin Banks and Tyler Booker are unlikely to be available at number 25. So what's in play at 25 if they stay there? Donovan Jackson, Gray Zabel, Kenneth Grant. So they have some options. They could move back, still possibly get Grant. Josh Connolly Jr., there's lots of varying opinions. I've heard people say top half of the round. I've heard people say later in the first round. I've heard people say second round, all over the place. Some tackles will still be there likely late in the first round. Include Aronte Ursery, who visited the Texans, Anthony Belton, who did not visit, but visited 18 other teams. So a lot of interest in Anthony Belton from North Carolina State, underrated player, did well at the Senior Bowl. So tackle and guard still of heavy consideration for the Texans. And yeah, they'll be looking for offensive linemen. I think more and more likely it's offensive line, and less likely that it's wide receiver early, unless just all of a sudden they feel like, hey, so many linemen are left, we can still get one, or we can move around in the second round with that extra third round pick to get one. What if you did have a chance to draft Matthew Golden or Emeka Egbuka and at 25 and you decide, well, let's go wide receiver? I could see some logic in that too. But you can talk yourself into almost anything. Ultimately, it's going to be Nick Cassera and D'Amico Ryan's decision, and hopefully they make a good one. It's a lot that's gone into this process, and the Texans now, they'll be on the clock at some point, and they'll have their draft party, of course, on Thursday night. And that's always fun. So I'll be doing some television with Randy McElboy on KPRC2, and then I'll be over at NRG Stadium waiting for the pick and seeing what they do. And ultimately, we'll be evaluating and talking about that pick, and we'll be talking about it for months and months and years. And it's a big decision. But every year it's a big decision, right? The decisions they made for C.J. Stroud, for Will Anderson Jr., and as C.J. Stroud said, you got some trust in Nick. Nick's getting better at a lot of things as general manager now that he has more resources in terms of the salary cap, in terms of the draft capital that he's had through the previous Deshaun Watson trade. And I think that's really turned the franchise around. So that's been a good thing for the Texans as they try to take that step from 0-6 in the AFC divisional round to hopefully getting to an AFC championship very soon. And who knows, maybe a Super Bowl. I know that's why C.J. Gardner Johnson's here. So he's here to win, and he's here to compete. And so it'll be very interesting to see just how competitive the Texans are. So we'll be having more updates. We've got about 48 hours till the draft, and I look forward to more conversations. Please like and subscribe to the channel. And I'm also on Instagram, AaronWilson7128, Twitter /X at AaronWilson_NFL. And of course, I'm on television at click2houston.com, our website, and KPRC2 with Randy McElboy and Ari Alexander. And I've posted some recent videos you've seen of Kelvin Banks Jr., exclusive, Jaden Blue, Donovan Jackson. And so, yeah, I look forward to providing more content as we get closer and closer to the draft. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Just so important to you with kids' meals. How much does that mean to you that you continue to play for your hometown team and just keep this thing going?
It means the world to me that, God has placed me here for 3 more years, and that it was a part of his will for me to be here. So, I'm thankful, and I'm excited to, do more and get back to work. There's a lot more to be done in this city, and I look to, continue to help and continue to inspire the kids coming behind me.
And your high school roots, this all started here, and very few people get to do this. This is unique. High school football, college football in the state of Texas, and now with your hometown NFL team and having a second contract too, all those things.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I continue to tell people this never was in my mind that I would be able to do this, but like I said, God had always more for me. He definitely always overflowed my cup. So I'm definitely thankful to be here and continue to get to work and, make plays on and off the field. That's what I look forward to.
There's some players that just play football. From day one, you've made it a point that, hey, what I do off the field, just as important, but in a lot of ways it is.
Yep. Definitely shout out to God. Shout out to my parents for instilling that in me. And like I said, I'm ready to get back to work and definitely ready to continue to inspire the youth to, hopefully do the same in their regards coming up.
Our last two. How did you celebrate? Did you do something special, or did you, like you said, get back to work or lift weights? What do you do when something?
I didn't really celebrate yet. I didn't really celebrate yet. I'm definitely grateful and excited that I got an extension, but it's a lot of work that needs to be done. Me coming off the injury and all of that. So I'm definitely thankful, but not content with where I'm at right now.
And your parents, my last one, just the pride they have. Obviously, when you talk to them, it so much resonates. But the influence they had on you, bringing you to this point. What did that mean to you? What did they teach you?
Oh, they taught me everything. When you see Jaylen Pitre, you see Mr. Rick and Miss Davita. Like, that's what you see. I'm definitely them walking around here every day. They taught me everything that I know, and I'm forever thankful for them for, sacrificing for me and pouring into me as much as they did.
I think that from what I've taken in, they expect us to come and just do our job every day. I think the best thing you can ask for from our offensive line is just consistency. And I think that's just kind of where we're going to want to hang our hat, just being consistent and just kind of know what you're gonna get from their unit each and every Sunday. I think it's kind of just a little bit of what I said earlier. I think the thing I've heard the most from those guys is just looking for some consistency, and hopefully I'm able to help provide that. And I think the sky can be the limit for our unit. We just kind of got to keep the main thing, and know what we're working towards.
Cam, at the NFL owners meetings, Kevin O'Connell spoke very highly of you and the job you did, stepping in for a great player when you got hurt. How did you feel about your Minnesota experience, and kind of, well, as toward the end of it, did you feel like, hey, I'm getting back to playing the way I want to play?
Yeah. First of all, I thoroughly enjoyed my experience in Minnesota. It was fun. I mean, it was cold, but that was probably the only bad thing I got to say about it. And I felt like I was playing good ball, not just towards the end of the season, but from the moment I stepped in. I think I got there on the Thursday and played the game on Sunday. So.
Yeah.